you, Amanda. And I'd like to also welcome via telephone our village attorney, Ms. Keating. Good evening.
Can you hear okay, Kathy?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we'll move on. Public participation of agenda-related items only. If anyone would care to speak to the board, please step up to the mic. Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the consent agenda. Amanda?
The items on this evening's consent agenda are as follows. A, approval of minutes, village board executive session, June 23rd, 2015. Village board meeting, June 23rd, 2015. Work session meeting, July 14th, 2015. B, action motion to authorize the president and chairperson of the finance committee to sign the register for bills and authorize the treasurer and village clerk to sign checks for payment of operating bills and salaries as itemized in the packet. C, action motion to authorize the village treasurer and village clerk to sign checks for the payment of payroll and other bills that become due between this date and August 25th, 2015, with subsequent approval of the payroll register and voucher register by the Board of Trustees at its regular meeting to be held on August 25th, 2015.
Thank you, Amanda. I'll take a motion for the consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Again, thank you, Amanda. We'll move on to village manager's report. Julia?
Mr. President, I have just one item to report this evening. The Sustainability Commission asked that we pass along a reminder about an event that will be taking place on Wednesday, July 29th from 6 p.m. Until 7 p.m. at the LaGrange Park Public Library. There is a clean energy town hall meeting that is hosted by Chris Welch, State Representative Chris Welch, and the Sierra Club. And again, that's tomorrow evening, Wednesday, July 29th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the LaGrange Park Public Library. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Julia. Moving on to administration committee's report. Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening from the administration area, I have 3 items to report on. First of all is regarding the National Night Out that is soon to be held next Tuesday. The LaGrange Park Police Department, Crime Prevention Unit, and the Fire Department will host the 2015 National Night Out evening on Tuesday, August 4th at Memorial Park. Festivities will begin at 7 p.m. and will include child safety seat inspections, food, and entertainment. The police department is currently looking for volunteers to assist with this event. If you are interested in volunteering, please contact the village at 708-352-7711, extension 204. The second area is regarding the downspout disconnection program reimbursement, which is currently on hold. The village recently received word from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency that due to the state's budgetary issues, they are currently unable to issue reimbursements for downspout disconnections under the Illinois Green Infrastructure Grant Program. For this reason, the state has placed a temporary hold on our program until the state approves a 2016 budget and capital bill. The state is reassuring the village that this program has not been officially suspended or terminated, but that payments are paused until a new budget is approved. The village will issue funds for reimbursement for applications that were received and approved by July 13 of 2015. However, the village cannot guarantee reimbursements for any applications received after July 13, 2015. We would like to thank residents who have already completed their downspout disconnection projects. The village encourages homeowners who are still connected to proceed with the planning and completion of the disconnection projects. Compliance with the village downspout disconnection ordinance is required by January of 2017, regardless of whether reimbursement funds are made available. And the last item is regarding our community e-briefs. The village would like to encourage our residents to stay connected with what is happening in LaGrange Park by signing up for the community e-briefs, our weekly electronic newsletter, which is mailed out each Friday. At this time, the village has nearly 2,000 subscribers. Residents may sign up for e-briefs by going to the homepage of the village website at www.lagrangepark.org. And that concludes my administration report for this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, trustee Lautner. I just have one comment. On National Night Out, on my script, it only has 771 as a number. Is there a fourth number?
711.
What is it again, trustee Lautner?
It's 708-352-7711, extension 204.
Thank you.
I did call to check that.
I knew you did. I was just checking up on you. Okay, thank you, trustee Lautner. Moving on to Building and Zoning Committee, trustee Zora.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 items that are up for both discussion and action tonight. The first one involves this building. On June 16th, 2015, the Zoning Board of Appeals conducted a public hearing to consider zoning application number 2015-04 filed by the Village of the Grange Park for 447 North Catherine Avenue to the following variations: to allow for the installation of a generator in the interior side yard and to allow for the installation of a solid fence up to 11 feet in height in a non-residential district. The variations, if granted, would allow for the installation of an emergency backup generator to support all village operations on the property, including administration, police, and fire operations in the event the facility loses power. The existing emergency backup generator, which is located in the basement and is undersized to support village operations, would be decommissioned. The variations would also allow for the installation of a fence to properly screen the new generator from view from adjacent right-of-way. The ZBA accepted testimony and evidence into the record. Upon conclusion of the testimony, public comment, and discussion, the ZBA determined that the application met the standards for a variation and recommended that the village board grant the requested variations subject to the following 3 conditions. A, testing of the generator shall not exceed manufacturer's specifications, ISO, state or federal regulations, and shall occur only on weekdays between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. B, the generator is to be placed inside a sound attenuation enclosure with further sound mitigating measures to be considered. C, the village will consider installing additional landscaping surrounding the generator or elsewhere in the interior side yard. There is existing landscaping and a fence located between the Village Hall south parking lot and the single-family home located to the southeast of the property, which provides sufficient screening. However, there is currently very little landscaping between the south parking lot and the single-family home located to the southwest of the property. Thus, staff has been working with the property owner to identify appropriate solutions to enhance the screening of the village municipal facility from the adjacent property. I'd also like to make a note that the ZBA did vote 5 ayes and 0 nays and recommended that this zoning application be approved based on the 3 conditions that I just mentioned. So I would like to make a motion to approve an ordinance granting certain variations for 447 North Catherine Avenue in the Grange Park.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion, trustee Zora?
Yes, I think we need this generator. I'm actually surprised that we don't have a generator that will back up the entire building. I know a lot of other municipalities and fire headquarters have them already. The unit comes with the sound attenuation enclosure, which I think is important because that does reduce the decibel level for the surrounding neighbors, and the screening requirement will also help with aesthetic purposes, not with the decibel issues, but at least aesthetically it'll hide it. And the fact that testing, most likely based on the transcripts, it will be 20 minutes per week at a set time and a set day, so the neighbors will be aware of when testing will occur. And I also wanted to mention, based on the testimony, that 2 generators, I know that was something that was brought up, don't really make sense for this building because the generator space that we have in the basement doesn't really allow for something larger. And if we did do 2 units, there would be one of similar size of what is planning to be put outside now. So I am in favor of the generator. I think it's a necessity, especially because we recently lost power. And for a few hours, staff couldn't work because they couldn't use their computers.
Thank you, trustee Zora. Any other comments from the board? Trustee Messick?
Thank you, Mr. President. I too support this. This is a needed item, and it's helpful that we have a lot of grant money to help pay for it. It is essential that the village is able to operate in the event of a power outage. And it looks like all the concerns were addressed. I know that there is some noise and some inconvenience to especially the closest proximate neighbors. But looking at with the sound attenuation enclosure, I mean, 70 decibels, I said I went and looked it up, is loud, but it's like an average radio or street noise with attenuation. While that's rough for the neighbor immediately closest to it, it is only 20 minutes once a week. I know some of the argument was federal regulations say once a month. One question I would have is how old are the federal regulations on that? Because I would go with the manufacturer recommendation of once a week. We want this thing to be in good working order. It's part of a pre-disaster mitigation plan, so I said, and it meets EPA exhaust requirements. So I think we've done, nothing's perfect. Things are going to impact some residents for a brief time, but it's for the overall good. So I think we've addressed most of it. I had one last question on this note we got tonight, talking about whether we'd put up a fence or we could go with dense evergreen shrubs, and maybe the village engineer could answer this. Which one of those would offer the best noise abatement?
They'd probably be about neutral, a little bit, maybe more.
Add that, the reason that staff is recommending generator contributes to the impact of the village hall use, but it's really to bring our property into closer compliance with offering our use from the adjacent. Primary function is not to mitigate sound.
Very minor though.
All right, well, on behalf of the village's staff's opinion, what would you think would be better for the aesthetics as well, the fence or the?
Our preference in discussing it amongst ourselves and with the village engineer is by that screen a 6-foot. Some of the concerns she had is some of the lights, the headlights from vehicles pulling in and out of the lot, so police and fire vehicles that may be pulling in after hours shine into her home. The fence would eliminate that. The concern we have with landscaping is that we don't think we can put the landscaping entirely on our property, because there's a very narrow strip of land. A portion of that is village property, a portion of that belongs to the property owner. The landscaping would most likely overlap the two properties, and then there's just long-term maintenance. When you install evergreens or arborvitae, one or two tend to die every now and then, and you're gonna have varying heights, and, so we see for a long-term solution, a fence just being a better long-term solution.
Well, thank you. I said I support this as it stands, and I would support the fence. We also want to be good neighbors as well. We're all part of the same village, so thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. Trustee Casera?
Thank you, Mr. President. I won't be redundant and reiterating the comments from Trustee Messick or Trustee Zora, but I also am in favor of the generator. We've been waiting for this for a long time, and the ability to get the grant funds is a huge impact, positive impact on our budget. With the generator comes, pieces where our neighboring property owners have some concerns, and very much thank everybody for their comments regarding this. From a noise standpoint, it's naturally a concern, but then again, from input from everybody and doing some reading, it's probably similar to somebody cutting their lawn once a week. But the minimum amount of sound and having the sound barriers is a big help. I was most concerned with how would it look looking out your side door, walking in and out of your house every day. And I really like the piece that staff came up with regarding installing a fence to help from regular traffic here, headlights, so on and so forth, and then hopefully better aesthetics for the homeowner. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kucera. Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I'd like to remind the board, residents in attendance, and residents that may be listening, that I happen to be the owner of the property that's southeast of the property here. So I'm have a perspective as a homeowner, being adjacent to the village property as well as a village trustee here. I'll speak as a trustee first, and I think that the generator is a requirement. It's something that we have to have in consideration of the services that we are expecting to provide to our village. So I believe that and the opportunity for the grant that has been a long time coming is going to be a very, very helpful part of that, of course. So I think in terms of the need for the generator, there's no question in my mind. As a resident, I'll say that I am just very pleased with the amount of effort that's gone into making sure that all parties' concerns are registered, considered, and a lot of proactive and initiated meetings with the residents of the southwest side to make sure, and people around us to make sure that we're accommodating those concerns as well as we can, and the solutions that I think that staff has come up with are very viable, and I would certainly follow staff's recommendation on that. But you know, I'm looking at it from two different perspectives. We have to have it as a village trustee, and
Yes.
Trustee Kucera?
Yes.
Trustee Zura?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
I choose to abstain because of my proximity to the property.
President DeCipio?
So you'll need my vote, huh? Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Amanda. Trustee Zora, continue, please.
The second item I have tonight is for the final plan and plat of the PUD for Bethlehem Woods. On December 13th in 2011, the village board adopted ordinance number 945. For the PUD plat, granting zoning map amendment and granting zoning variation for property owned by the Sisters of St. Joseph in Grange and Resurrection Healthcare Corporation, now Presence Health. As it relates to the PUD, ordinance number 945 approved the removal of Tract B, Tract D North, and portion of Tract E from the PUD and approved a new circulation road connecting the existing ring road at the northwest portion of the PUD to the Beechwood Manor parking lot. The property which remains in the PUD includes the present Bethlehem Woods Retirement Living Center and the CSJ building and associated parking. Ordinance number 945 contains seven conditions. Conditions 1 and 3 through 7 have been met. Condition 2 required the submittal of a revised PUD plat illustrating the approved modifications to the PUD. In order to satisfy the final condition, the applicants have submitted the Bethlehem Woods Retirement Living Center plat of planned unit development for consideration by the village board. Village staff and the village engineer have reviewed the final plan and have confirmed that it accurately depicts the existing improvements on the property in accordance with section 5.6.d of the zoning code. The zoning administrator, the village manager, certifies that the final plan is substantial conformance with the approved preliminary plan and the approved granted under ordinance number 945. I would like to make a motion to approve the Bethlehem Woods Retirement Living Center plat of the planned unit development.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, discussion. Trustee Zora?
I feel like this is pretty cut and dry. Staff in Hancock have reviewed the plat of survey, and it reflects what was approved and should be recorded by the county. So I think I will move forward with this.
Trustee Messick?
Thank you, Mr. President. I concur. It meets the criteria and the conditions have been met, and it's consistent with the comp plan, so I approve and would support it.
Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. I too would support this. It's pretty straightforward, and all the i's have been dotted and t's crossed, and I would support this.
Trustee Casera?
I also concur with the other trustees. Everything has been finalized, put in place, reviewed, and I would be in agreement.
Attorney Keating, any comments? Ms. Keating? We may have lost Ms. Keating.
Kathy?
Okay, well,
Hello,
Oh, there you are.
Tim?
yes, Ms. Keating, any comments on the,
Sorry, I had inadvertently hit the mute button. I've been here the whole time.
okay, any
There's no
comments?
problem, and Julia and I have worked extensively with Donna Pugh to iron out all the kinks in the plat, so I'm satisfied with it.
Okay, great, thank you, trustee. You got me baggled now. Attorney Keating, again, it's great working with great people, so it went well, and I'm in concurrence, and thank you for all of your efforts in making this move forward. Amanda, call the roll?
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great. Thank you for coming tonight. Trustee Zora, thank you.
Sure. Okay.
And we're moving on. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
We have the
Yes.
building department report. Trustee Zora?
Thank you. I have a few items to report from the building department's recent activity. 102 building permits were issued this past June as compared to 112 in June of 2014. Year-to-date, the village has issued 10 less permits as of the same time last year. Estimated construction costs for the month and permit fees collected are substantially less than what they were for June of last year. Some of this can be attributed to a couple of large permits issued in June of 2014. 230 inspections were conducted this past June. 25 of those were not approved. 30 more inspections have been conducted year-to-date this year as compared to last year. During the month, the mobile classroom units have been installed by School District 95 at Brook Park School and are being installed on the north end of this property. The school has requested one minor change to the engineering plans submitted for the approval of MWRD. Although this work continues on the structures, they are waiting for MWRD approval to complete this portion of the site work. During the month, a few applications were submitted for the sewer backup prevention program. Those were evaluated with some requiring further clarification and documents to assess eligibility. Interest in the program appears to be increasing as there have been several inquiries regarding the program. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Okay, moving on, Engineering Capital Projects Committee. Trustee Casera?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 3 items to report on this evening. Significant progress has been made on the Illinois Department of Transportation contract for Kemen Avenue resurfacing from 31st Street to 26th Street. All concrete replacement and paving work has been completed and landscape restoration has been performed. The only remaining items is the sidewalk replacement at 31st Street. This work is delayed while awaiting approvals from IDOT to repair the electrical access handholds for the traffic signals. Second item, the repaving of Cleveland Avenue from 30th to 26th Street by G&A Paving was completed in June. Final landscape restoration remains and may need to be postponed until early fall to await favorable weather conditions. Final item, final plans and specifications have been prepared for the resurfacing of Pine Tree Lane and the portion of Finsbury Lane that was not part of the McNaughton development. The village will be using motor fuel tax funds for a significant portion of this, Work. The Illinois Department of Transportation must review and approve all contract documents from the village prior to beginning work. A bid date for the village to receive sealed bids is set for July 6, 2015, with a possible award date of July 14, 2015. Work could begin in August, with completion expected by mid-September. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Casera. Before we move on, Ms. Keating,
Yes?
I know that you have another engagement that you have to go at. Is there anything that you would like to add to any of the reports that to follow that may be important so we can let you move on?
Just on the agenda items related to the village treasurer, just wanted to reassure the board that the proposed ordinance meets the state statute, and Julia and Larry Noller and I have worked on the exact language of it, and I'm comfortable with that language.
Okay, so as it's written and what's given to the board, you're okay with? You've approved?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't want to keep you if you have other things happening, or you can move on, because we're just going to go through the rest of the reports. I mean,
Okay,
you're more
that
than
sounds
welcome
good.
to stay if you'd like, but,
No, I've got a gospel performance I have to attend.
okay. Thank you, Attorney Keating.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, moving on, Public Safety Committee, Trustee Messick.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Police Department's summary of activities for June of 2015. Total crimes are almost the same as reported from last year during the same period. A total of 112 incidents have been reported through June of 2015 compared to 108 from June of last year. Traffic enforcement is also very similar to what was reported from last year during the same period. A total of 2,981 citations have been written as of June of this year, compared to 3,019 as of June of last. Total police activity compared to last year is slightly lower, with 3,150 incidents reported by June of 2015 in reference to 3,456 incidents by June of 2014. Sergeant Felix Hernandez is coordinating the finishing touches to the 2015 National Night Out event, which will be held next Tuesday, August 4th, starting at 7 p.m. at Memorial Park. The police department is assisted with security, safety, and following special events: St. Louis Summerfest, Wednesday night entertainment at Memorial Park, Village Field Club, conference swim meet, park patrols, variety of block parties, organized runs, walks for many specialty groups, bike safety in association with the LP Business Chamber, plus many more without any negative issues reported. And that would conclude the police portion of the public safety. And just a reminder to all residents that may be listening, come on out and join us next Tuesday for the National Night Out. On to fire. EMS responses for this month are 156. There have been 868 year-to-date compared to 782 year-to-date in 2014. Fire rescue incidents this month were 44. There have been 236 year-to-date compared to 231 last year. Personnel provided a fire truck display for the Chamber of Commerce Bike Fest on June 6th. Also, hydrant flushing inspection continued during the month, with now approximately two-thirds of the village being completed. On June 14th, a graduation ceremony took place for our 6 candidates for the Fire Academy, being hosted at the Western Springs Fire Department. Our 6 graduates are Andy Chorley, Matt Dahl, Mike Hughes, Josh Johnson, Matt Joyce, and John Moore, and congratulations to all of them. Firefighters completed constructing and installing new lockers at both fire stations to hold turnout gear. The new metal lockers are replacing very old small wooden lockers that existed and allow for much better airflow to ventilate and dry the equipment stored in them. This substantial purchase was made possible through our Foreign Fire Insurance Fund. And that concludes the public safety report, and there are no action items.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. In the absence of Trustee Sheehan, would you care to do the Public Works Committee report also?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Mr. President. Public Works Department monthly report for June of 2015. Brush pickup took place the first full week in June. 72 day shift hours were spent making several passes through town, removing approximately 175 yards of brush from the parkway. 71 trees, which were diseased with the emerald ash borer, were removed from the village parkway during 288 day shift hours. 134 regular hours were spent on the maintenance of public works equipment and vehicles. 132 hours were spent filling potholes with approximately 32 tons of UPM. 14 tons of UPM were also used for a large patch on Ostrander. 77 day shift hours were spent on building and ground maintenance around the Village Hall, Public Works facility, and along 31st Street. The street sweeper cleaned over 162 miles of street during 112 hours and picked up 57 yards of debris. Barricades were delivered for 2 block parties during the month, and various work orders were completed with crews removing roadkill, tree trimming, individual brush pickups, parkway repairs, cleaning sewer catch basins, and making sign repairs. There was mechanic maintenance provided for various public works, police, and fire vehicles over the month, and then on to water department operations. Over 307 day shift hours and 42 overtime man hours during the month of June were spent on maintenance and repairs of sewer and water mains. 365,720,000 gallons of water were purchased from the Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission. 1,344 water meters were read in Section 3. 52 monthly accounts and 39 final meter readings were taken. Various inspections, appointments, and service calls were performed. 15 water bacterial samples were taken and all passed. 189 utility locations were identified prior to excavation. 1 water main repaired, and 3 Buffalo box repairs were made. And that concludes Public Works, Mr. President. There are no action items.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. And in lieu of Trustee Rocco's absence, Trustee Lautner, will you do the finance report, please?
Certainly, Mr. President. Thank you for the opportunity to do that. The financial report this evening summarizes the village's general fund financial performance through the end of June 30th, 2015. We've completed 2/12, or about 17% of the fiscal year 2016, which began May 1st, 2015, and runs through April 30, 2016. The detailed revenue and expense report and the monthly cash and investment dashboard are also attached to our documents that we received as part of our board packet. But the highlights include the fiscal year-to-date general fund revenue is at 12% of the annual budget and approximately $53,000 greater than last year. Natural gas tax receipts have dropped about 58% from last year. The prior year receipts were higher due to extremely cold weather. Telecommunications tax receipts were up slightly in June compared to the last several months. However, fiscal year-to-date receipts are still about 8% lower than last year. Permit revenue is lower than last year by about $33,000. The difference is due to commercial remodeling projects last year as well as timing of permit applications. Intergovernmental revenue is 24% greater than last year due to increased receipts from state shared revenues, including the income tax, personal property replacement tax, and the use tax. Charges for services are about 37% or $37,000 higher than last year due to ambulance fees, which can fluctuate significantly due to the timing of collections. Fine revenue is about 25% higher than the prior year due to the police department's use of the state-local debt recovery program to collect unpaid tickets. And the total general fund expenditures are within expectations at 12% of the annual budget and $165,000 lower than last year. Last year's budget included a $1.2 million transfer to the Capital Projects Fund compared to $200,000 this year. Excluding the difference in the capital transfer, total expenditures are essentially flat compared to last year. And that concludes the finance report for this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Lautner. Okay, moving on to other reports. Village Clerk,
I have nothing to report, Mr. President.
our village engineer.
No, sir, no report this evening.
A motion to approve committee and collectors' reports.
Second.
All those in favor?
Move that we appoint Finance Director Larry Noller as village treasurer effective July 28th, 2015.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Kissera?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And there's a second motion, trustee Messick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 31 of the Village of LaGrange Park Municipal Code concerning the office of village treasurer.
Second.
Any discussion? Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Kissera?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And thank you, Amanda. And Mr. Noller, congratulations. You have two hats now. Sox and Cubs. Okay. Moving on now, we have public participation of non-agenda related items. If anyone would care to address the board? Okay. Any new business? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Turn.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.